Om Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The first 6 chapters of the Gita spoke about Karma Yoga, the importance of karma, action. And then from 7 to 12, the bhakti part, the devotion part is covered from chapters 11 to 12. Wherever we talk about, whenever we talk about bhakti, devotion, it obviously implies the remembrance of the divine. Then only it can be called bhakti. So remembrance of the divine is called bhakti. What is the difference between environmentalist saying you should not cut the tree versus Veda saying you should not cut the tree? Both are saying don't cut the tree. What is the difference between the two? From the environmentalist angle, it is a secular angle. It's a worldly angle. From the Vedic angle, it is seen as divine. You're able to understand the difference. So, anything that is done from the secular angle also cannot be called as bhakti, cannot be called as divine. You may have one is, I want to take care of the fellow beings versus seeing the fellow beings as divine. When I say I want to take care of the fellow beings, when I want to take care of the environment, etc., you can be a very good environmentalist, a activist. Need not necessarily be bhakti involved in it. So the misunderstanding is whoever is doing that also cannot be clubbed as bhakti. So what is the fundamental difference between bhakti and the rest? The remembrance of the seeing the divine, the remembrance of the divine. Understanding everything as divine, seeing everything as divine is bhakti yoga. And this bhakti yoga, seeing everything as divine, in Vibhuti yoga was explained differently. In Vishwarupa Darshana yoga, we are seeing it differently. This is the sequence. After a long gap, we will do recap, isn't it? Just to get the flow of what we have been discussing till now. I keep forgetting what we are discussing. So for my sake, I'm repeating. You all will remember, I'm assuming. But for my sake, I'm remembering. What is it? What is this Vishwarupa? In Vibhuti Yoga, the positive aspect of life, which the mind likes alone, is seen as divine. Vishwarupa takes it to the next level and says, everything that is happening, all that is happening here is divine. Birth is divine, death is divine, creation is divine, destruction is divine. This is from Vibhuti Yoga, there is the development of maturity in understanding divine as in both birth and death, creation and destruction. That's the distinction. In Vibhuti Yoga, he took out all the best. What all the best? He said, this is me, this is me, this is me, this is me, this is me. But then that is only one part of life. There is another part of life. If birth is one part of life, death is another part of life. Now, what do you do? Now, what do you do regarding death now? You can't ignore that part. You can't say birth part of alone is divine and death part is, I don't know what is opposite of divine. I don't know why. If at all there is something opposite of divine. In reality, there is nothing opposite of divine. It is the mind that divides everything into two. In reality, there is only one thing called divine. There is only one thing that is divine. So whatsoever is happening is divine. So, but our conditioning, our way of living life believes some part of it is divine, some part of it is non-divine. Vishwarupa Darshana comes and says, both are divine. To understand this, Arjuna, you can't see it with your normal eyes. I'll give you Divya Chakshu. Divyam Dadami Te Chakshu, he said in the beginning. I will give you a Divya Chakshu. Divya Chakshu means divine eye. Special eye I'll give you. 3D glass, mother, I'll give you, he said. When you go to see 3D movie, they'll give you one glass, isn't it? He said, like that, I'll give you a 3D glass. See it with this. That is Vishwarupa Darshana. The whole creation, everything he shows it in everything, he explains it as divine. When that Divya Chakshu was given to him, the immediate impulsive reaction will be one of wonderment. That's why if you always see, our wonderment is more impulsive. That's why more than 2 seconds or more than 2 minutes, we can't retain that wonderment because it is so impulsive by nature. So the first reaction that Arjuna got looking at the Vishwarupa is what? Wonderment. Isn't it? And we have seen this any number of times. Anything huge, vast, big creates wonderment. We have seen that, isn't it? Water, we have seen all the time. Is water new? Water is not new, no. Isn't it? Water is, nobody can say, I am seeing water for the first time in my life, isn't it? Nobody can say that. But what is it that makes the ocean beautiful or the falls beautiful that you have to go all the way to the ocean or the waterfalls? You see it in the vastness is the wonderment. Anything vast, anything huge, anything big creates wonderment. And that is the human nature, and it will be there for a very short period of time. That's superficial excitement, isn't it? I want to retain that all the time, sir. You cannot retain it all the time. How can you be impulsive all the time? You can't be impulsive all the time. So naturally from wonderment, the next thing that comes is fear. How does it naturally come? Because you look at it so deeply, so penetratively, fear comes now. You sitting on the ocean, you sitting not sitting on the ocean, how can you sit? You sit on the sands and look at it, it is so beautiful. Suddenly somebody comes and tells you the density of the water, the volume of the water, the depth of the water, all that knowledge is given to you. You start seeing all that. What will happen? This is where tsunami come. What will happen? You will want to run away from that. Now, Arjuna looked at it so clearly, he wanted to run away from that. That is the current portion that we are studying. We're able to follow the sequence of development. This is what happens to all human beings. First is wonderment. After that, fear, isn't it? You see elephant, it's a wonderment. You see elephant so penetratively when it is lifting its trunk and swirling the trunk around and all. What will happen? You want to immediately run away from that. So from wonderment, the next emotion that naturally happen is fear. Fear. Why? Why fear? Because you have started to see the other things which in the wonderment stage you didn't see. Are you able to understand the difference? In the wonderment stage, you are not able to see what is the other thing, the destructive part of it you didn't see. You are not matured enough to accept the destructive part in anything. Because you are not matured enough to see the destructive part in anything, you are in wonderment. The moment you start seeing that wonderment will very soon go into a fear. And then the third emotion, whenever we get to the third emotion, devotion, we will see there. That also we will describe. All this we have seen. What is the fear now? What is the fear? Fear is a lost sense of everything. That is fear. What does fear means? You lose, to an extent, he went on to say, in the verse number, Venkat? 25. Okay. Correct, 25. Dramshta Karalani. The Sanskrit word, verse number, I am getting confused. Yeah. Dramshta Karalani, isn't it? That terrible, the teeth protruding and all that figure that he is seeing, he loses his sense of direction and does not know his own position. That is fear. What is fear? The sense of direction is lost means that person is completely lost. That's what it means. Does not know his own position. His own position means he's saying, I do not know the quarters, the directions. I lost my peace. I lost everything because of the Vishwarupa. First, what he saw in Vishwarupa, it looked very beautiful. Second stage, he penetratively looked into it. When he penetratively looked into it, he got frightened. As I started in the beginning, what is the fear? What is the fear? The fear is always when you see life in its totality, you will be frightened. As long as you don't see life in its totality, you will float as though you are in some, I don't know, whatever people call as, I don't know, 7th heaven, 17th heaven, I don't know what all people call it as. They float so high. As long as you don't see life in its entirety, in its entirety, in its totality. If you see life in its totality, and because you don't have that maturity to accept it as a fact of life, there will be fear. Are you able to follow? And you don't have the maturity to accept it as a fact. What is the fact? Creation will be followed by destruction. And the destruction will be followed by another creation. So this creation, destruction keeps happening again and again and again. Are you able to follow? Now, at any given point of time, we see the creation part. What is the creation part? Okay. We see the birth of the child. Imagine the day that you see the birth of the child, also you can see the death. What will happen? Something happens to your eyes. Something happened in your eyes. Don't try all this. Huh? It will not, if you I'm seeing all this, na Vijay Rangan, class la vanda. Some other prescription is required. For you can't physically see all this. The day the child is born, you understand that the day that you are able to see the birth of the child, and if you are able to see the death of the child along with the birth, what will happen? Maturity, objectivity, detachment should happen. Ideally speaking. Ideally speaking, what should happen? Detachment should happen. Maturity should happen. But detachment, maturity, and all will not come. Fear only comes. Why? Because that which is pleasant, you want it to be permanent. That which is pleasant, you want it to be permanent. And that which is pleasant cannot be permanent. That which is unpleasant cannot be permanent. That which is pleasant cannot be permanent. Agamapayino nityaha tam titikshasva bharata. Verse number 14, chapter 2. Some of the verses I keep repeating as formula verses. You should remember those verses. In every situation, these verses is going to save you. What's going to save you is this knowledge. When we say this knowledge is going to save you, remembering these verses is what is going to save you. Agamapayino, it is Agamapayinaha, it is Anityaha. Agamapayinaha, they come and go. Even when they are there, it is temporary. Agamapayinaha, Anityaha it is. Tam titikshasva bharata. Now forget the tam titikshasva and all. What we are saying here in Vishwarupa is what? In the beginning itself, you should be able to see the end. That's how I keep defining intellect all the time like this. The capacity to see the end in the beginning is intellect. If you remember, every few weeks, whenever we get a chance to define this intellect, I keep saying the capacity to see the end in the beginning. What is the end in the beginning that you will see? It is going to change. That's all it is. What is unpleasant is going to become pleasant. The pleasant will turn into unpleasant. The unpleasant will turn into pleasant. This keeps happening. So agamapayinaha anityaha means the capacity to see the end in the beginning. Temporarily, people will be able to see the end, what we call as smashana vairagya, prasava vairagya, etc. Temporarily, people see and they feel a sense of maturity, detachment. Like we say prasava vairagya, smashana vairagya, purana vairagya. Adi Shankaracharya says, jnana vairagya. He says, what should come? Jnana vairagya should come. Not the prasava vairagya, not all this. Because all this is so temporary by nature. What is Vishwarupa showing? The creation is shown. Along with the creation, destruction is also shown. How it is shown nowadays? What they call as time-lapse videos. Correct? Is it called time-lapse, no? Raj, correct? They make it like that, no? That whole night, that whole 3 weeks of the shift in the sky, they will show it in two minutes, isn't it? Like that, he's showing. What is he showing? In time lapse, he's showing the entire thing, he's showing in time lapse. When you see it like that, instead of wonderment, what comes? Fear? Fear comes. What is the fear? Is because what you don't want to happen is going to happen. What you don't want to happen is going to happen. What is it that you don't want to happen? Unpleasant should not happen. The pleasant always should happen. Is there a way by which the pleasant can be maintained all the time? Is there a way by which you can be in that pleasant thing all the time? As you are today, it is not possible. If you follow a method, it is possible. And that method nobody wants. Everybody wants the pleasant to continue, but they do not want the method by which it can continue. What is the method by which you can be unaffected by both? What is that unaffected by both? A life of dharma. When you lead a life of dharma, when you lead a life of whatever be it, all that we are going to study. What is the life of dharma? When we go to 35 qualities, will be each and every quality we are going to study in detail. That 35 qualities combined is the life of dharma. some quality you pick up, you do that. All that we will see. Now, when you do those kind of things, the Vishwarupa will not create fear. The Vishwarupa will create devotion, which is the third emotion. You understand it rightly. The Vishwarupa, instead of creating fear, it will create, it will mature into devotion. So the three emotions: wonderment, fear, devotion. Wonderment, fear, devotion. That superficial excitement of wonderment itself, people misunderstand it as devotion. The superficial excitement itself, they misunderstand it as devotion, isn't it? All the vratams they will take and breathless walk up the hill, Naranji. Breathless walk up the hill, not even knowing when it is going to conclude, whether we will reach or not. We don't know. Breathless and suffering and everything. You go, you see the deity, 2 seconds, you come out that side. The real Asura comes back, isn't it? Wonderment. That's what happens to wonderment. The real Asura comes back. What is the real Asura? Divine place. No, the Lord is there. The divine is there. How can you throw dirt around like that? How can you keep that place dirty like that? And and it's thrown everywhere. Why? Because that few seconds of wonderment is over. After the few seconds of wonderment, go back into the tamasic, state only, isn't it? In Vishwarupa, the benefit of Arjuna in Vishwarupa is what? He didn't allow him to go back to the tamasic state. He showed the ferocious form. The ferocious form. If only Shastra showed the ferocious form, nobody will go there. From next year, Naranji, we both will go alone. Nobody will be there, isn't it? Nobody will be there even, isn't it? As long as the ferocious form is not shown. As long as the ferocious form is not shown, there is a lot of wonderment, etc. So, the maturity should happen from what? From fear to devotion. From fear to devotion. Still few more verses. We are going to discuss about the fear and then we will move into devotion. Seriya? Yes.
So are you suggesting that in creation one must fully understand and embrace both opposing aspects before experiencing astonishment? So astonishment is allowed or not?
The question is wonderment allowed or not? Wonderment will happen impulsively. Wonderment will happen temporarily, impulsively. That impulsive, temporary wonderment should not be misunderstood as devotion. Are you able to follow? Why? Because the moment the other side of it get exposed, the wonderment will go away. Are you able to follow? Therefore, in wonderment, I should be able to see birth and death, and I should be in wonderment in relation to both.
Yes, that's what.
In relation to both, you should be in wonderment. Now, there we will not use the word wonderment, we will use the word devotion there. Because it is so cosmic a force, it is so powerful, so deep that it transcends your capacity to even have a glimpse of what it is. It will no more be wonderment. It will mature into devotion. Bhakti will come in there. So we will not use the word wonderment, astonishment there. We will use the word bhakti there. Are you able to understand the difference?
So devotion will not have the element of wonderment.
In devotion, there may be an element of wonderment, but wonderment is not connected to devotion. Because what is devotion? Devotion is a state where you say the instruments give up and bow down. In wonderment, there is a play of the instrument. Technically, in wonderment, there is the play of the instrument. Still, your buddhi is comprehending something. It's saying, wow. Wow. It's saying, wow. It's not bowing down, it's saying, wow. And enjoying that, wow moment. I don't know, whatever that wow is. In bhakti, it bows down. Are you able to follow?
Yes.
We'll move on to the verses. 26 and 27 சேர்ந்து படிங்க. Isn't it? Yeah. 26 and 27 together.
अमी च त्वां धृतराष्ट्रस्य पुत्राः सर्वे सहैवावनिबालसङ्घैः भीष्मो द्रोणः सूतपुत्रस्तथासौ सहास्मदीयैरपि योधमुख्यैः वक्त्राडिते त्वरमाणा विशन्ति दंष्ट्राकरालानि भयानकानि केचिद्विलग्ना दशनान्तरेषु सन्दृश्यन्ते चूर्णितैरुत्तमाङ्गैः.
These sons of Dhritarashtra, with all the hosts of kings, Bhishma, Drona, and Suta's son, along with our warrior chiefs, into your mouths with terrible tusks, fearful to behold, they hurriedly enter. Some are seen sticking in the gaps between the teeth with their heads pulverized. Now what is he saying? These sons of Dhritarashtra, with the hosts of kings, Bhishma, Drona, Sutaputra, along with our warrior chiefs, into your mouths with terrible tusks, fearful to behold, they hurriedly enter. Some are seen sticking in the gaps between the teeth with their heads pulverized. We will not want to see this Vishwarupa at all. We will not want to see this Vishwapa. Who will want to see it? The climax of the war is shown already. The end is shown. What is the end that is shown? What is the end that is shown very clearly here? Destruction is going to be complete on both the sides. Are you able to follow? He's saying destruction is going to be complete on both the sides. Asmadiyaha and Dhritarashtraha. Asmadiyaha means our own people. Our own people are also entering into your mouths. And the other, who's the other? Bhishma, Drona, Sutaputra, Karna. Who all Arjuna is worried about in the fight, they are seen as dead. They are seen as dead. Who are they? Bhishma, Drona, and Karna. Along with the sons of Dhritarashtra. That is the Kaurava side. What happened on the Pandava side? Asmadiyaha, our own, with our warrior chiefs, our own people are also gone. You know, compare this, in the Ramayana battle between the Rama's army and Ravana's army, I don't know what kind of war it is, but it's a different war, that Ramayana war. You know, not a single soldier from Rama's side died in the war. Nobody even got hurt in the war. You know that? I don't know how that kind of a war how a war like that can actually happen, but it can happen. It is possible to happen. Yeah, it is definitely possible. Again, in the army of Rama and Ravana, the entire Ravana's army got annihilated. Vibhishana got saved because he jumped onto the other side along with 2-3. Otherwise, he also would have been gone. From Rama's side, what happened? Who has studied that? Does anybody know this? Nobody knows this? Correct. Please don't. Correct. It's a very unfair war, looks like, isn't it? On the one side, nothing happens to one army. On the other side, everything happens to everybody. How does it happen? Yeah, that is dharma. That is if at all there is dharma yuddha, that is dharma yuddha. From the side of dharma, no destruction is possible. From the side of adharma, everything will get destroyed. Here, both the sides are getting completely annihilated. So what is Arjuna seeing here? My own people. Asmadiyaihi. Asmadiyaha means our own people. Versus them. Asmadiyaihi yodamukyaihi. Asmadiyaihi means our own warrior chiefs are also dying. If he has seen both, actually what we should have done? Krishna, let us do something and get out of the cycle of this birth and death. No? What to do to get out of the cycle should be the question, isn't it? After seeing all this, you don't come and ask, now tell me what to do. Now tell me what to do means what? You didn't see Vishwarupa? You didn't see Vishwarupa properly. If you have seen Vishwarupa properly, what you will ask? What you will ask? What is the point of all this? Get out. How? Get out of the. Get out of the. Get out of the cycle. Get out of the cycle. How to get out of the cycle should have been the issue, isn't it? So Asmadiyaha, our own warrior chiefs, is happening. What is happening to them? Overall, you will win, but destruction is complete on both sides. Okay, overall you will win. That's what the story is. Overall, you win. But destruction is complete on the sides. And look at the description. Hurriedly they are rushing. We don't, hurriedly they are rushing means we just hurriedly get into actions, not knowing the karma of it. And then get pulverized. And then come back crying. That's what is meant. Everybody is so hurriedly everybody is so hurrying. Hurrying into what? Hurrying into actions. And what is going to be the consequence of that actions? Dramshta Karalani, don't forget. Try to see it visualize it as a picture only now. Teeth are protruding, and it's like I don't know. It's like a grinder or a mixer. I don't know what it is like, isn't it? You hurriedly go in there, get completely pulverized, completely crushed. Sometimes your head won't get crushed. Sometimes your thigh bone don't get crushed. Therefore, it is sticking in between the teeth. Ooh, what a Vishwarupa it is. What a Vishwarupa that he must be seeing. And we should sympathize with Arjuna, because you see it like this, you will start shivering. Anybody seeing it will shiver if you see your own people stuck there. If you see a third party stuck there, nothing will happen to you. Are you able to follow? If you see a third party getting stuck, there will not be a problem, isn't it? Is death the problem of death of my own people the problem? Death is never a problem. Death of my people is the problem, isn't it? Everybody will lose, sir. What is the problem? Everybody will make some losses. What is the problem? My loss is a problem. Death is not a problem. Loss is not a problem. But where it becomes a problem? When you go and connect yourself to that. When you go and connect yourself to that, what happens? Bhishma, Drona, everybody, they are hurriedly rushing. Hurriedly rushing means, what does it mean? Discarding the advice of the Shastras, they are hurriedly rushing into the karmas. And they are in such a hurry. Why are they hurrying? The speed with which they go. What brings the speed? What brings that speed? That you cannot listen to. What brings the speed? That you cannot listen to Dharma, that you cannot listen to the Shastra, that you cannot listen to the scripture. What brings the speed? Desires. Raga, Vesha, desires. Desires. The power of the power of the desires. The power of the desire is so strong that they 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 are in a hurry. From the Lord's mouth, what is hanging? Among those who have entered the mouth of the Lord, between the upper and lower teeth, somebody's head is still sticking out. Definitely, Vishwarupa is not a vegetarian, vegan god. Huh? At least that much is very clear now, isn't it? He's not a vegetarian god, nor even a vegan god. Kuda illa. Illa vegetarian kuda illa. Huh? Human meat is hanging around. Now, what do you call that? What do you call it? Isn't it? See, non-vegetarian kuda chicken or something else will be hanging. No. Here, the human meat is hanging all over. Looking at that, he's saying, I am looking at this. Arjuna is terrified. What is the message here? The speed with which it is, the speed with which the human beings rush, the speed with which everything happens. The speed caused by what in the earlier chapter in the Karma Yoga portion, he called it as Vega, the force. When you are developing the force, when you are developing the force, you don't even know that you are developing the force. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu upajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho bijayate क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशः बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति 62 63 chapter 2. How do you create the vega? Continuously thinking about it. You constantly keep thinking about it. Anything that you keep constantly thinking about, the vega will begin. And you having created the vega, you will be swept away by that. You have no choice there. After creating the momentum, don't come and ask what to do. After creating the momentum, you are bound by you cannot escape. You have to you will be washed away. When you are getting washed away, you can only pray. And what? At least make me to remember this. Next time I will not do this again. At least remember the suffocation and the pain that I am going through so that I will not do it again. Huh? This is the only prayer that you can do. But no human being does it. What does a human being do? They quickly want to get out of it and start the whole lot again. They want to get out of it and start the whole thing again. They want to get out of it and start the whole thing again. Are you able to follow what I'm saying? This is the Vega. This is the Vega. Hurriedly they enter. The Vega that is self-created is what is called karma. The Vega that is self-created will have a consequence. The consequence of the Vega is called karma. Are you able to follow? The moment Vega comes in, all the knowledge of dharma, adharma, right, wrong, everything goes under the carpet. You will be so blindfolded by that Vega. Are you able to follow? We have studied this any number of times. Does the end justify? Does the end justify the means? Does the end justify the means? No. Means are equally important as the end. Follow. But again, that's not how we function. That's not how we think. We function very differently. We think very differently. Like the worldly person believes there is a very wrong understanding, in the world. Success erases all wrongdoings. Does it erase? It will not erase. That is karma. That's what he's saying here. Hurriedly they go into doing things and then when they are exposed to the consequences of it, they get dejected, depressed, and they come and say life is unfair. They say life is unfair. Law of karma says life is not at all unfair. I am very fair because you asked for it. Whatever you asked for it will be given to you in the same intensity. This is law of karma. That's what he's saying. That is what very beautifully is described as they enter hurriedly. Rest are all the graphic description. Don't worry about the graphic description a lot. Understand what is it they hurriedly enter means. What is it that is hurried? What is hurriedly they are entering? Churnitaihi. Churnitaihi means pulverized. Churnitaihi na. Okay, churnitaihi. Have you ever heard? Okay, those who go into Ayurveda will understand this word churna, isn't it? Churna na enna artham? Churna means what? Powder, isn't it? Yeah. அதே மெட்ராஸ் பாஷையில் சொல்லணும்னா தவிடு பொடி ஆகிறது, isn't it? இல்லையா? You get in and just get powdered. Powdered means each and every cell is getting powdered, and you will cry in agony and pain. That's what it means. Remember this. If it is getting powdered and you are not aware of it, there's no problem, isn't it? Supposing you get powdered and you are so unconscious, you don't feel it, there's no problem at all, isn't it? No. Each and every cell will get pulverized, and you will go through that, and you will go through the pain and agony. The destructive expressions of your own karmas is seen in this portion. Fear. Looking at this, actually you should develop if at all there's something called positive fear, you should develop. What? From now on I'll be careful. From now on I'll be careful about the thought that I entertain, the word that I use, the action that I do. I'll be careful about what? I'll be careful about the thought that I entertain, the word that I use, and the action that I. What is the devastating power? The noblest of person also should The noblest of person also will come to an end. The Rakshasa also comes to an end. Yeah. Kala is so impartial. The impartiality is frightening. Again, I repeat, the impartiality is frightening. What is the impartiality? Whatsoever you think you are, howsoever you think you are, one thing will happen. What? Whatsoever you think you are, howsoever you think you are, one thing will happen. What is that one thing that will happen? You will meet with the end. You will meet with the end. The problem is not the end. The problem is not the end. The problem is the method by which the end happens. Again, I repeat, the end is not the problem. The methodology by which the end happens is frightening. That's why those who understand this dharma and those who understand this, they are so careful about each and every thought, each and every word, each and every action. They are extremely, extremely careful. That being extremely careful about the thought, word, and deed is what is called achara. Yadyata charati sreshtaha, he said in chapter 3. Yadyat acharati. Whoever follows this achara becomes the leader. Yadyata charati sreshtaha. Sreshtaha means that human being becomes the guiding force. Achara. What is achara? So careful about each and every thought, word, and action of yours. You are so extremely careful. Because of you being so careful, you feel always protected. That is dharma. A dharmic person feels protected all the time. Adharmic person, in spite of everything, feels. Adharmic person, in spite of everything, will feel miserable, lonely, suffering. It's a law. Nobody can change the law. Again, I repeat. In spite of everything, a adharmic person will feel miserable, lonely, suffering. And then going to God and say, and crying and all doesn't work. God says, what can I do? I am impartial. That's why I have kept an impartial person, Yama, as. That's why I have kept an impartial person, Lord Yama. Dharmaraja he is. Why? Because he is impartial. How much ever you pray to him, he will never become partial. What does it mean? The thought, the word, and deed that you do will be responded back appropriately. Those who are able to see that are very careful in the beginning. When you are being very careful in the beginning, that is called achara, a lifestyle of dharma. So achara is a lifestyle of dharma where each and every thought, word, and deed you are extremely careful. When you lead that kind of a life, what happens? End will happen to you. Even then, end will happen. End will not change. The end will happen. But how the end will happen? Pushpaka Vimana will come and you will be taken in that. Not like sticking in between, not like sticking in between teeth, head pulverized, bones pulverized and all. Dharma kshetre, kurukshetre. Remember that? When we introduced Bhagavad Gita, we spoke about that a lot. That Dharma kshetra has become a kurukshetra. Dharma kshetre, kurukshetre. The Dharma kshetra has become a kurukshetra. Why that it is turned into a kurukshetra? Kurukshetra means battlefield. From dharma, it has turned into a battlefield. What is dharma? Remember that story, golden mongoose, etc. I'm not going into that story now. That golden mongoose story. That is the dharma kshetra. End happened there also, end happened. It's not that they didn't, end happened there. But how did it happen? How did it happen? Like how Garuda Purana talks and all, it will not happen, isn't it? Garuda Purana talks about the end. Yeah. You'll be you'll be tied to the rope and you'll be dragged and you are tied and dragged and you are crying and you are crying, leave me, leave me, leave me, you are crying and nothing, and you will be dragged. And 1 year it will take from here to there. Oh my God, frightening it is. At one stage in life, when I was very young, I genuinely thought all this is true. And even now, when I look back, I thank God that I believed it as true. So, oh my God, I don't want to go through any of these things. Now, who wants to get dragged like this? Who wants to do? That is how one kind of end will happen. There is another kind of end that also Shastra talks about. What is another kind of end when you do this dharma, etc.? The Pushpaka Vimana will come and that will take you, isn't it? Like in the Golden Mongoose story, what happened to that four? What happened to that four, isn't it? Remember that story? The Golden Mongoose was looking. Yudhishthira did that yajna, Rajasuya yajna. And Vyasa was the priest, assisted by Sukha and others. Krishna was the helper around. All the best souls on the planet was available in that yajna, and they're all so happy, sitting relaxed now that they did everything best they did, isn't it? And then the golden mongoose, half golden mongoose comes in, rubs itself against the wall of the yajna kund, turns back, looks at Yudhishthira and says, this yajna is a total waste, and goes. And even today, wherever there is yajna happens, that golden mongoose is still coming. Huh? Remember that. It's still coming. And it is half golden only. Yudhishthira asked, what does it mean? What is this mongoose? All over, from nowhere it came and went back saying, Narada said, no. What happened is, long back, he gave the entire story. That man, after days and days and days of starving, he got one handful of rice flour. As soon as he came home, they didn't start eating. They made it into balls, uttered the prayers, and then they were about to eat. Even in the desperation also, you don't forget God. Even in desperation, you don't forget God. You forget God, remember teeth and sticking in between the, sticking in between the teeth is the pain, the agony, the misery, the sorrow, the suffering, the fear, etc. All this is symbolic of that. So they were praying. Before they could eat, Aditi came and asked, Bhavati Bhiksham Dehi, Bhavati Bhiksham Dehi, Bhavati Bhiksham Dehi. When the Aditi comes, what are you supposed to do? You are not supposed to say, why you didn't inform and come. WhatsApp inform pantilla varno. RSVP. Allam podama vanda food will not be given, isn't it? That is our modern advanced human beings we are. And these people are all very backward. Venkatachalam. They are not like us, advanced, technologically advanced. They are all very, very backward. They are all. So they live life very backwardly. So they said, Atiti, they are above. The man gave his portion of his ball, he gave. what they call as pinda. It's not a huge ball. Pinda means you understand, no? Small. One mouthful it is, that's all, one mouthful. The Atiti ate that and he's looking at the other three balls now because he's also hungry. He's looking at the other three balls. The wife says, give my portion also. The wife says, give my portion. He says, if I give your portion away, you will die. You will die. And of all the papa karmas, suicide is the worst papa karma. You should not even think of it. It's a worst papa karma it is. And he's saying, how can I give it to you? It is, you will die. It is almost like committing suicide. The wife says, this kind of death is better than being alive. Give. He takes that portion. Wife is dead. Atiti is still hungry. Who cares about others' death and all? As long as you want to be alive, who cares about death of the others? Atiti is looking at the other two balls now. The daughter-in-law said, take my portion and give. The man said, no, I cannot give this. Because trusting that we will save you, you came into our family. Now we are in such a position that we are not even able to keep you alive. I cannot do this. She said, I don't know what you are talking. When I left, they told me, follow mother-in-law. Don't tell all this today, huh? Please. Don't say all this today. I'm not saying story. I'm saying all this with the firm conviction that nobody is going to follow anything in a firm conviction. I'm saying all this. If I have 1 ounce of doubt that somebody is going to follow anything of what I said, I will wind up everything. Kalpana, you know that, no? The day I believe one person is going to follow one bit of what I am talking, I will wind up and I will not, I'll go incognito, I'll run away. Who wants to? Till 9 o'clock, story time. Story time. So what did the daughter-in-law said? When I came into your house, I am told. What was I told? Follow mother-in-law. What she did, she gave her portion and she is dead. What should I do now? Give my portion and die. She gave her portion and she is also dead. Now 2 are dead. One more ball is still there. Atiti is looking at that now. The boy said, give my portion. He said, no, this is impossible. This cannot be given. Why? Because 2 are already dead. I am on the verge of dying. We need you to be alive to do samskaras for us. To do the rituals for us, we want you to be alive. So I can't give your portion. The son said, what samskaras? Corporation will take care, he said. The government will take care. Corporation will. 3rd day, the smell will come. Neighbors will take care. Why do we have to worry about? Why do we have to worry about this? He gave all 4 dead. It said the chariot came from heaven. Chariot came from heaven, and they were taken in the chariot. Are you able to understand the 2 opposite ends? Are you able to understand what are the 2 opposite ends? The second end is inspiring, motivating for you to be like that. The first end is also motivating, inspiring how you should not be. How end should not be head sticking in between the teeth. End should not be like that. How should end be? Will not be dragged and all. Isn't it? Will not be dragged. Isn't it? A private jet will come and take you. That's what he said, isn't it? You don't worry about ticket booking, flight timings, and you don't have to adjust. Private jet means they will come according to your timings. No, you will be transported like that. Of the two ways, the wise one doesn't worry about the end. The wise one worries about the first type of end should not happen. If that should not happen, what should you do now? What should you do now? A life of dharma. A life of dharma. A life of dharma. Even though Asmadiyaha means our own people, Kaurava side, Asmadiyaha, our own people, dharma is lacking. Somewhere they were lacking in the dharma. Therefore, what happened to all of them? They are getting pulverized. A graphic description of utmost destruction. How else to describe that? A graphic description of utmost destruction. A dharmic person will never feel a sense of destruction at all. Because what is protecting them? A dharma is protecting. You follow? A adharmic person, irrespective of everything, will always feel worried, fear, sad, depressed. Why? Because there is no dharma that is supporting, backing. The good and the bad meet with the same end. The end is not the problem. The end is not the problem. Whether it is a private jet taking up or you are being dragged and getting stuck in between. The vicious Kauravas getting crushed is understandable, isn't it? How can the noble Pandava community also can get crushed like that? Isn't it? They're also getting crushed like that. A graphic description of utmost destruction. 28 padinga. Verse number 28.
यथा नदीनां बहवोऽम्बुवेगाः समुद्रमेवाभिमुखा द्रवन्ति तथा तवामि नरलोकवीराः विशन्ति वक्त्राण्यभिविज्वलन्ति यथा नदीनां बहवोऽम्बुवेगाः समुद्रमेवाभिमुखा द्रवन्ति तथा तवामि नरलोकवीराः विशन्ति वक्त्राण्यभिविज्वलन्ति.
As the many torrents of rivers rush towards the ocean alone, so do these heroes in the world of men enter your blazing mouths. In plural, Vaktrani. As the many torrents of rivers rush towards the ocean alone, so do these heroes in the world of men enter your blazing mouths. Naraloka Viraha. Heroes means who all you think as great. Who are heroes? You think A is great, B is great, C is great. Why do you think A, B, C is great? Because in your head, what all you think as most valuable and important, they have achieved it. And you think they are great, they are great, they are great. And just because you think they are all Naraloka Viraha, they are not actually Viraha. They are not Naraloka Viraha and all. Why? Because they are rushing into, so do these heroes of men enter your blazing mouths. They are rushing into it. They are not slowly entering. There is no calmness there. There is no relaxed there. They are rushing. They are rushing. And why are they rushing? We have elaborated that already. So it's a continuity of the same thought flow. They are not slowly entering, but gushing, rushing. Abhivijwalanti. Abhivijwalanti is entering the cosmic form. And what is that cosmic form? It's blazing. Blazing means it's fire. Don't play with fire, they say, no. All the time we play with fire. They say don't play with fire. And all the time from morning till night, from the time we wake up till the time we go to sleep, from birth till death, we keep playing with fire. And when we are burnt, we come back complaining. We come back complaining. Fire says, you touched me, no, what can I do? If you have not touched me, I won't come near you, but you come near me and touch me, this will be the consequence. And these Naraloka Viraha, they are entering. How are they entering? Rushing. The Sanskrit word that he is using is again the same Sanskrit word he is using. Ambu Vegaha. The Vega, the Sanskrit word is that Vega is a very important Sanskrit word. Vega means the power, the force, the current. Ambu Vegaha, the water currents. Water currents, we understand it as that water current is symbolic of the Vega of likes and dislikes. Or instead of saying it as likes and dislikes, to make it more precise, an adharmic way of living. Vega is nothing but the adharmic way of the adharmic way. Everybody in their heads think they are very dharmic. I am so dharmic, sir. Why is this happening to me? I am so dharmic. Why it is happening to me? If you are dharmic, it will not happen. If it is happening, you are not dharmic. The law is very clear. Again, if it is happening, you are not. If it is happening, you are not dharmic. If you are dharmic, it will not happen. What will not happen? That abhivijwalanti, that you will not enter into that blazing fire. You will not play with fire. What it means is that you will not play with fire. Two examples are given. One example is the Ambuvegaha, the water, the force with which the water is rushing towards the ocean is one example. The next example, verse number 29, is moth. அது ஒரு வாட்டி படிச்சிடுங்க. 28, 29. 29 ஒரு வாட்டி படிங்க.
यथा प्रदीप्तं ज्वलनं पतङ्गाः विशन्ति नाशाय समृद्धवेगाः तथैव नाशाय विशन्ति लोकाः तवापि वक्त्राणि समृद्धवेगाः यथा प्रदीप्तं ज्वलनं पतङ्गाः विशन्ति नाशाय समृद्धवेगाः तथैव नाशाय विशन्ति लोकाः तवापि वक्त्राणि समृद्धवेगाः.
As moths with great speed enter into the brilliant fire for destruction, even so people enter with great speed into your mouths for destruction. As moths with great speed enter into the brilliant fire for destruction, even so people enter with great speed into your mouths for destruction. The second example that he is giving is the moth. You have seen the moths, no? They go helplessly, they are attracted to the fire only to get burnt, only to get roasted, only to get burnt. It will get roasted, it will get burnt, but it cannot resist the attraction. Are you able to follow? It is not able to resist the attraction. That vegaha, samruddha vegaha, samruddha na samruddhi in artham. Samruddhi na abundance in artham. With abundant, full speed in artham. Yeah. Samruddhiya podungo, they say, isn't it? Samruddhiya podungo, give samruddhiya kudungo na enna artham. Yeah, edutha abdi kudukonu, isn't it? You don't want to be, yeah, samruddhi, you have to give like that. When it is happening, instead of samruddhi in dhanam and dharma, the vega is in samruddhi now. Samruddha vega. The vega is in samruddhi. Therefore, what happens? You get destroyed. Like what? Like the moth. Like the water current is so desperate to get destroyed, to get into the ocean to die. The moth is so desperate to get into the fire, to get roasted, to get burnt and to die. So do people enter. Two beautiful examples. One is the river, one is the water current, and another is the moth. Why? Because the temptations, the attractions, the enchantment, the attractions, the temptations, the enchantment is so powerful that ready to do anything, break all rules, barriers, everything. With hopeless wish, one looks and lingers. Another breaks the glass and cuts his fingers. But they whom truth and wisdom lead can gather honey from the weed. Remember pineapple and the bee? With hopeless wish, one looks and lingers. Passive people will simply linger. They'll say, the hopeless wish. Another breaks the glass and cuts his fingers. In the poem Pineapple and the Bee. But they whom truth and wisdom lead can gather honey from the weed. How can you gather honey from the weed? Weed means there is nothing in it, isn't it? Weed, there is nothing in it. But you can gather honey from the weed. That is the power of dharma. That's the power of righteousness. That's the power of the right way of living. The Vega consumes, the Vega swallows the mental peace. The power swallows your peace. Not only that, the Vega, you lose your peace now. Because of the Vega, you do some actions and the action bounces back and hurts you. Therefore, pain in the future. Immediate pain, future pain, permanent pain. Again, immediate pain, future pain, Permanent pain. Permanent pain means what? We have gathered enough karma, we have gathered enough things that for few janmas, our future is guaranteed. Our future for a few janmas, our future is guaranteed. Why? That kind of opposite of that is what? The right way. What is the right way? We'll see later. But today, remember these two examples. The river and the moth. Both symbolic of Vega and both destroys you completely. With this, we conclude for today. Next week, I'll continue with the two examples a little more, and then we'll move on to the other next verses.